Hey, it's Mark Williams from Swine Life BBQ. Today we're going to take a few minutes and help you get through your 4th of July cook. We have some beautiful loin back ribs here. We're going to do an old school flavor on it. My dad taught me this recipe. I hope to pass it on to you. Starts off with a simple pork sausage seasoning. We're going to cut it with a little bit of brown sugar, knock that heat back, and we got the Gateway drum smoker out there. Man, that pork fat's going to be dripping on coals. It's going to be awesome. Let's get started. So first thing we're going to do is get these membranes off these ribs. I use a paper towel to make this job a little bit easier. A lot of times they'll fight with you, but if you can get your hand all the way underneath that membrane in the center of the rib and pull up, most of the time it'll come off in one piece. We're going to do this process to both slabs. If you have any trouble, don't get aggravated. Just make sure to get it off because it will make a better eating rib in the end. All right, so we're going to trim these ribs up just a little bit. They don't look too bad at all. Only thing I would recommend taking off is you see any silver skin similar to this. I mean, that just ain't going to break down during the cook process. I'm not worried a lot about the fat on top of these. I mean, we're going to try to render as much as we can on that. We're trying to feed the masses and feed them the best rib they had for the holiday. So if you see anything that's just, you know that's not going to render during the cook, then we're going to knock it off. Backside looks good. So now it's time to get a little seasoning on these. So to make this seasoning, it's very simple. This is what I call just an old school pork sausage seasoning. You got it from Legs. It's several companies make this seasoning. Any of your local butchers will have it. A lot of times Piggly Wiggly, if you have those in the area, they carry it. It comes in a 1 pound pack. It's pretty salty, so we always try to cut it with a little bit of brown sugar. It's got a lot of heat. It's got your sage. It's got a bunch of flavors that complement pork very well. So what we do is take 1 cup of that and then a ½ cup of brown sugar, and you're just gonna mix it. Once it gets combined good, you're ready to put them on the ribs. So now it's time to get some flavor on these ribs. I love me some Wickers. So what I do is instead of using mustard or any other kind of binder, I'm just gonna pour a little bit of line of Wickers on these. You just want a little bit of moisture on them and just give it a good rub. Like I say, this ain't for the judges, this is for the home team. So just put a little moisture on them, no big deal at all. Once we get that going, we're gonna take our sausage seasoning mix. And I would say a medium coat because this stuff is pretty stout, so you don't really want to go too heavy with it. It will light you up. We'll get them flipped over to the other side. We're going to do the same process. Again, we're going to pour that Wickers. And then come back with the brown sugar sausage seasoning mix. So we got the ribs seasoned. While they're sitting out here sweating, it's going to take about an hour for this rub to really work on them and break them down. While it's doing that, we'll get out here and get this Gateway drum smoker fired up and we'll be ready to cook. So today we're going to fire the smoker up with some rolled oak charcoal. Once we get it in the basket, we'll take a tumbleweed and place it in the middle. You can use a wax cube or whatever you got on hand. You just want to get a good bed of coals going before you put the lid on it. So we got the Gateway drum running about 275 right now. We're going to get these ribs on. So we got a little pecan smoke rolling. I got the rack at the highest setting. We try to want to keep these ribs as far away from that fire as we can. We don't want to get them too dark. So we're going to run them about an hour meat side up, and we'll check them in an hour and then we'll come back and run them meat side down. So it's been about 30 minutes. Cooker's been running about 275, 300. We're going to give them a look, probably give them a little base with Wickers. They got pretty good color. Man, it smells awesome though. We'll take this Wickers and we'll just baste it. I found these old school mops that are just the cotton twine does really good with a thinner baste. But you want to baste a little bit with that Wickers. That vinegar really, adds another layer of flavor. Plus when it's dripping on the coals, it smells awesome. So we'll let these go about another 30 minutes and then we'll flip them and do meat side down and we'll really get a good crust on these ribs before we wrap them. So it's been about an hour since we put these ribs on. We basted them at 30 minutes. And they got some excellent color. We're finna give them a flip. So we kind of want to get a little bit more color on the bottom side. So they look excellent right now. And then also we're gonna give them a little twist. While we got them, we're gonna go ahead and baste them some more with this Wickers. Man, I wish y'all could smell this. These smell awesome. All right, we'll let them go for about 30 minutes and we'll check them again and maybe give them another baste of Wickers. All right, so these ribs been on for about an hour and a half. We're gonna give them a look. They've been meat side down for the last about 30 minutes. We'll see what they look like. We got good color. I just wanna check the bottom side. And to me, that looks pretty good. I don't wanna get any more color on them. That's the reason they call it cooking. It ain't perfect. We'll keep an eye on them, make sure we don't let them get too dark. We'll baste them one more time. Give them about 15 minutes and we'll be ready to wrap. And like I say, this time may be a little different on your cooker. Just depends on how it's running. Looks good to me. We'll go 15 minutes and we'll wrap them. All right, so these ribs have been on the cooker for about 2 hours. We basted them about every 15 to 30 minutes, just depending on your color. Like I say, it's not a science. You judge your cook at what a cooker you're cooking on and go from there. So we're gonna get them wrapped. I'm gonna start off with 3 pads of butter on the bottom. We're not wanting to take away from the rib itself. And then just go meat side down. And of course, it's gonna sit up on that butter, but it'll melt once it gets rolling. Take a little bit more of this baste and baste the back side of them. And then we'll take 3 more pads of butter and go on the back side of the rib. Like I say, it's a simple wrap. It ain't nothing fancy. We're not worried about sugars or anything like that. We're just cooking a good eating rib. So now take your foil. And you do want to make sure you wrap it to where you can get back in it pretty easy when it comes time to check. And that's about it. We'll get these back on the cooker for about an hour. We'll check them an hour. We're shooting for that 200, 205, somewhere in there is doneness. We'll get them back out of the wrap and we'll really finish them off and make them good. So these ribs been wrapped for about an hour. We're gonna give them a good check, see how they're looking. They should be real close. So we got good disintegration on the backside. I think these ought to be ready. They're done. We'll get this one up. And I'm not even gonna check the other one because I know it's there too. Feels pretty soft in the foil, so. We'll get the lid back on it. We'll get these inside, let them set for about 15 minutes and we'll get them out of the foil, get a little rub on them, get them back on and get some color on them. So we let the ribs rest in the foil for about 15 minutes. I went ahead and got them out and we actually saved the juice out of the foil because we're gonna use it here in just a few minutes. They got really good color. I got them on a cooling rack to help us move it around a little bit easier, make it easy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our renders that we saved out of that foil and we're just gonna baste it one more time. So now we got that baste on here. You know I can't make a video without using a little bit of grind. We're gonna sprinkle just a thin, small layer just to give it a little bit of color and add one more layer of flavor to these ribs. And then we're gonna just flip it over and do the same to the other side. So this side, being it was in the butter a little bit longer, it's not quite as dried out as bad. But we're still gonna baste just a little bit on it just to have something for that rub to stick to. And just a thin layer of grind again. And then we'll get these back out here on the pit, let them tack up a little bit and they'll be ready to eat. So we put these back out on the pit for about 10 minutes just to kind of let them tack up and kind of set that rub. To start out, we start out with some loin back ribs, done a light coat of Wickers that's kind of like a base, just like you would with a mustard or anything like that. Done a sausage seasoning and brown sugar rub, which to me, if I'm eating at home, that is a go-to flavor. It is awesome. It complements pork very well. Put them on a gateway drum smoker running about 275 for about 2 hours. Wrapped them with just butter and a little bit more of that Wickers that we basted with. Finish the cook, they come out about 205, 207. We let them rest and we put them back on just to get them some color. Finish with a little bit of Mississippi grind. I wish y'all could smell these. I'm telling you, they have killed me and lucky camera lady behind the camera how good they smell today. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flip them over just so I make sure I get a pretty good cut on it. And I'm gonna go right here middle ways. You know, we're not gonna fret over it too bad. We ain't at a contest, we're here to cook and eat. And I mean, you can't, the moisture is just packed full in these ribs. So they pull apart really good. Go in, see if it's worth all that weight. That is a pork chop with a handle. I mean, that is excellent flavor. Grilling and smoking right over them coals, that fat dripping down adds just an awesome flavor. And that vinegar and that Wickers just complements the pork so well. So that's a wrap for us today at Swine Life. Thank y'all so much for watching this video. We really appreciate it. If y'all would, just like and subscribe to our channel. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram at Swine Life BBQ. And man, y'all have a great 4th of July.